Hey guys, Coach Ben here, bigbenchas.com, and you know the deal. Q&A time. Sip of coffee for the working man. Elvis, hit me.
Should you always bench with your elbows tucked, or can your bench elbows flare?
Alright, so, again, I wouldn't think of it as a elbows tucked in or elbows flared out type of deal. Whatever you end up doing, I just look for good alignment. So if you're really wide grip, I mean, you could bench high up like that. Some people do successfully. You could bench in close like this. Tucking, like having the elbows actually under the wrists, is never a great idea unless you're in a bench shirt. Okay, then the rules kind of change a little bit because of the tension of the shirt. But you always want to have alignment no matter where you are. You always want that elbow under your wrist. Okay, so I would look for that, but I do recommend having a balance. So if you're talking about out here versus in here, you want to be a balance about 45 degrees out because you're going to be able to take advantage of your back much better, more effectively. Okay, so what I mean by that is think about where you would row. Like if you really wanted to row something, powerful row position, right? You probably wouldn't attack it like this. You wouldn't be like, yep, you know what I mean? You probably wouldn't be in here. You'd probably be a nice balance, right? Because you can really put a lot into it like that. It's the same thing when you're benching. All right, hit me with the next one.
Do you feel like it's easier benching with kilo plates rather than freedom plates?
So I'm 100% on freedom units. All right, I like those dingy old rusty plates, but why he's saying this is because kilo plates, like calibrated plates, are very thin. You can load a bunch onto the bar. It keeps the weight more centered around where your hands are, your center of gravity and whatnot. So versus big thicker plates, it's going to extend all the way out. You're probably going to bow the bar a little bit more when it gets really heavy. I have not noticed the difference, but I like to feel like I do a pretty great job at creating stability, and that's one of the biggest things that that affected my bench in a positive way, is getting my feet out super wide. So you ever see me bench, I'm really wide with my feet, create a really good base of support. So ever since I've done that, I've never had to worry about that situation. I've always felt real stable and comfortable no matter how I load the bar, or what bar I'm benching on for that matter. I really lock down. I rely a lot on technique. For someone who may not have that wide base of support, maybe they bench toes back, maybe they aren't in their back as good as they could be yet, I could see that potentially being an issue for them, feeling that difference a good amount. But I've had up to 800 pounds on the bar, and I have not felt much of a difference at all, so I'll leave it with that.
What is your preferred pre- and post-workout meal?
Okay, so I mean, I'm not super picky, first off. You know, anything good is good. But I would say pre-workout, I don't want anything that's going to make me feel like shit. So I'll avoid oil, shitty food like that, right? Have a good chicken rice, steak rice, just something I know I can handle that's not going to upset me. Because I got like acid reflux and stuff, so like things with tomato or anything like that, I put hot sauce on something, it's going to start burning me up, and the last thing I want to do is go through a bench workout just on fire, inferno, you know what I mean? I'll be swallowing Tums with that. So anything good pre-workout, definitely. After workout, it's kind of no holds barred, because after workout you really need nutrients, so that's like the one time where I can really kind of have free reign, and I know I'm going to absorb it all real good and not feel tired as shit after. But I'll usually go with halal, Chipotle, or like Chinese food, just because those are three things that are all like right within reach of the house. So it simplifies it. But I'm good to go out to eat whatever, you know, it doesn't really matter. I'll eat chicken and rice again. It's all good.
What age did you join the 3-plate club?
So if I'm thinking of a certain age, I would say I think it's 21, 22. I'm not positive on exactly when. And that would be, you know, I couldn't even really tell you I think it's 2014. I was interning Gaglione Strength. What actually happened was I was shooting for that 3 plates for a long time, and what happened was my training partners, they wanted to trick me. So it was like a max out day before the meet coming up, and so they wanted to trick me. So they didn't load up 3 plates. They loaded up quarters, snuck on like excess plates. So it was like a 10 and maybe 2 5s or something. They didn't let me see the plates or something like that. So I'm thinking, all right, well, what do I got? Like 295, 300, something like that. Done it before. maybe they're kind of sandbagging me for the meet a bit. Whatever. But go into it, smack it, looked good, felt good. Yeah, that was the first time I benched 315. So it wasn't 3 plates, but it was 315 in weight. And thereafter, I was able to hit that quite consistently, but I could never get past that. It took me about a year to get past that. I had to correct some things, and I've talked about that before, but I'll leave that for another video.
Would you recommend benching 3 times a week?
So I pretty much, it depends where you're coming from. If you're a full power lifter, I'm usually starting most of my lifters benching twice a week. 3 times a week would be where I start, like a bench only person that comes to me. And so I would recommend, if you're bench only, 3 times a week is like standard. You could add or subtract from there. If you're a full power lifter, I'd go on the side of 2 times a week, but that doesn't mean you can't have a light pressing movement in some other days. So maybe after your squat day, you do some dumbbell pressing. I would consider that a bench day. But definitely getting your hands on a bar 2 times a week, I would recommend to start, and then dial it back or go further from there.
What cue do you recommend for lowering the bar?
So I'm big on spread, reach, row. So what that means is I really want to have a good spread to the bar. So I want to have that outwards tension. It's like if you're doing a band pull apart, right? That's something I do before the bench days. Get into position, punch the elbows out and back. Okay, so you want to have a good spread to the bar because that sets tightness. Spread, reach. Now, reach is trying to actively reach your chest up to the bar because that's setting your upper back tightness. Right? We have to extend at the T-spine to reach that chest up to the bar. So now we have a spread here, a reach here, and then we're going to activate the lats, really get that in our mind by rowing. So spread, reach, row down to that spot. And that should keep tightness throughout the duration there.
How do you warm up the elbows?
All right, so warming up the elbows. Real simply, I would go with bands, as with accommodating resistance, a little more forgiving than using straight weight oftentimes. So I would just do really high rep with the bands, whether you want to do 20, 40 reps, just really get some blood flow going through the arms, okay? So you can warm up that way. So that'll get the joint warm, and then some extra things I like to do as well. You could do soft tissue on the forearm, above or below the joint, right, just to loosen up some of that area. But what I would love to do is I put deep blue on my elbow. Now, I know there's a lot of different liniments out there. Everyone has their favorite. I like doTERRA Deep Blue. Has always worked well for me, gets the job done, heats up real quick, and stays hot. And I encapsulate it in our Big Benchas elbow sleeves. Okay, so it stays hot for a good amount of time throughout my workout, really. And that I don't notice too much elbow issues that way. But if you have an ongoing elbow issue, that's a good way to warm it up, but that's not a good way to fix the issue. So you really want to attack the issue at hand eventually. You don't want to skate around it over and over.
I want to try gear just to see what I can do. Where do I start?
All right, so sip of coffee for the working man. Trying out gear for the first time. Now, often it kind of goes both ways, all right? So there's coaches and lifters who will tell you, start with something light. Work your way through. Learn something light first. And then there's on the other side, what I subscribe to is just get what you're going to get and just learn it. Okay? Because there's going to be a learning curve regardless. Okay? So whether you start with like a Fury or whatever, a Titan Fury, something a little less aggressive, or you start with an SDP, a good multiply SDP from Inzer. Right? Either or, I say just get something. If you have to factor in pricing, just get whatever you can afford. All right, just get something, start working in it. Because either way, you're going to learn it. Okay, sure, a tight SDP is going to be harder. It's going to be a bigger learning curve, but you'll get there. You'll get there eventually. What I do recommend is you don't buy something tight off the bat. And what I mean by tight is that something you're really going to have to break in for some time, like you're strapped up here. I would get whatever model you want, but get something that's going to be a looser fit. Because you're going to find good success in it. It's going to be easier to learn, and then you can always progress down the road. But don't try to be the hero off the bat before you've done and eaten anything and try to get the tightest equipment possible. That's not where you want to go. So get whatever you want to get. Some fantastic tools, the Bench Freak Band at benchfreak.com. That I highly recommend for transitioning into a shirt. $75, awesome training tool. Every shirted lifter should have one.
Is a 1,000-pound bench in mind?
That would be like my kind of end goal. It's not at the forefront of my mind anytime soon, but that's kind of like my joke is when I hit 1,000 pounds, I'm okay retiring. I do have some goals left with like full power and whatnot, but I think when it's all said and done, that goal is so big that, and not many people have done that, that is something that is going to take me the entirety of my career. And when I hit that, I will feel good kind of walking away from there. Like I'll feel pretty accomplished with that. And I would be okay being done probably. So that's kind of like my down the road goal.
Are you a fan of cranking down the front and sides of a shirt?
So what I'm assuming that means is like pinching up the triceps, pulling down the collar. Yeah, I'm a fan of doing whatever you have to do to your shirt to get the most out of it, but it has to be right for the situation. Like just because I wouldn't just do it for the sake of doing it. Like you got to know why you're doing it. Just get the shirt on first. You know, and see what you can do from there. Like that's probably usually good for an opener. And then if you need it a little bit tighter over time, then adjust it from there. So for example, my last meet, I just got the shirt on. I never touched the thing before, so the last thing I wanted to do was really jack the thing up. So that would have been a scenario where that would have not have been good because it would have made it very hard for me to get down with my opener. So I left that as is, hit my opener, and then I honestly, with the way it moved, I didn't feel I needed to make any more adjustments. So I left it there again for the second. I didn't just move something for the sake of moving it. So I left it there for the second. It was a little harder, but I was like, all right, so I can afford now to, I didn't even touch the triceps. I just kind of pulled the collar down a little bit, and you'll be surprised on the tight shirt. You just drag that collar down a little bit, makes a big, big difference. And it made the last one, it was really tough to get down, 730, but it popped right up when I got it down there. But that's a situation where I made calculated adjustments. I didn't just adjust to adjust. So everything has to be calculated and for a reason.
That's it.
All right, that's a wrap, guys. That's your Q&A video. I appreciate everyone who joined us on Instagram Live, where all these questions came from. Make sure you follow us on Instagram and join in on our Q&As, and we'll do the video at the end. Coach Ben here, and you know where to meet me. On a bench.